Sara Hodges, CBS 13 at Sara Talk Sports with us here. Are you off today?
No, I'm working today.
Oh, okay.
I'm just getting a late start. I still have to blow dry my hair, as you can see.
Okay. So let's just get right into it.
Okay.
For a couple of weeks, I have told you, Sara, I think it's going to be fine. Relax. Everything will be fine. As it pertains to your Las Vegas Raiders,
I knew this is how we're going to start.
Tragic.
I'm no longer confident everything's going to be fine. It's bad, bro.
Right now, it's not even that you're confident. You're just hoping. You're just holding on to hope. And that's it. Sort of like with the 49ers.
Yeah. Well, look, this is what I said, Sara. I said it yesterday. They're 0-3. Season is probably over, but you're 0-3. You're not 0-7, right? And if you can find a way to get this game on Sunday against Denver, then the next two are tough too. I think KC's in there.
Yeah.
So it's tough. But if you can find a way and just get to 500, 3-3, there's plenty of 3-3 teams, because then you don't worry about like how you got there, how the journey was. There's plenty of 3-3 teams that make the postseason every year. Get to 3-3. You still got it, but you got to get this one. It's going to be hard if you don't get the one on Sunday. I think
here's the thing, at that point, because of how terrible the West played this past week, that gives me a little bit of hope, right? Like, y'all screwed me over by not beating up on Denver, but that's just a whole other thing.
Don't even get me started.
Yeah, because then everybody in the West would have lost. So I was hoping for that, and then I'm like, okay, this isn't so bad, because even though we're 0-3 and we're the only 0-3 team, at least teams are losing, right? And it's not, now the difference isn't so bad. We don't have to play catch up like we would have before. But if we can go in, handle business on Sunday at home against Denver, which we should, and then if we can go to Kansas City,
man,
the next
what are we doing right now? If we can go to Denver, if we can go to Kansas City, like Denver's, I know Denver's offense stinks, but their defense is really good. And like I know you're not the biggest Derek Carr fan, and like Derek Carr against that defense, that's tough. Like he didn't play particularly awful.
No.
Yes, against Tennessee.
No,
but
he didn't.
But it's like I don't think he's throwing for 300 plus against Denver. And maybe
not. And maybe not. And maybe we, rely on our run game a little bit more, which we should have in the last game, and we didn't. And I think that's why we lost. Like, we were running the ball so well, and on that last drive, we literally threw the ball the entire drive. And I was like, what are we doing? Why are we not giving the ball to Josh Jacobs? Like, am I missing something here about like the play calling? Like, that was more, to me, I felt like that was Josh's loss. Like, out of all the games, that was his L to take. And he needs to own that, because.
Well, the thing about it though, Sara, that I'll say is, like, there has to be a full game of defense played by the Raiders. Like, it's not good enough to just get ramsacked in the first half and then be like, well, we didn't give up anything in the second half. Well, no, that's because Tennessee had pretty much folded up the tent and said we did everything we needed to do that day. Like, they have to play 60 minutes of good defense. They've got to figure out a way to do that. Good news for them is Denver's coming in with an anemic offense, and maybe that's something that can get that defense jump started.
And here's the thing. This is what I said when we were going in 0-2 into game 3. It's like, we need to play a complete game. Like, yes, it's obviously a big part of the problem is the defense. But even when the defense steps up, then all of a sudden the offense is starting to just implode. And that's part of the problem too, is like they're not able to come together and play good at the same time.
I don't.
Have either one of you guys noticed?
What are you going to say?
Say what you got to say, Damien. Go with you.
Yeah,
this is Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I don't like Las Vegas's defense at all. Like you talk about how bad the Denver offense is. You don't think Denver's offense knows how bad they are, and everyone's talking about them. And you said this earlier this week, Casey. They've still managed to survive 2-1. The Chargers aren't done, but some of y'all are going to be seeing the Chargers the way I did before the season starts here real soon. Especially if you're going to keep marching out Justin Herbert out there with half a rib cage or whatever he's got going on, and Joey Bosa's gone. They've got problems. There's a way that the Raiders can breathe life back into their season. I'm just not confident they can do it this week with Denver. Because you talk about how bad the Raiders offense, or excuse me, you talk about how bad the Broncos offense is. Broncos offense thinking, yeah, we're bad. This might be the defense we can fix it against, though.
Yeah, I mean, I hope not. I pray not.
I'm sorry. It's week 3. You're so deflated. I'm so sorry, Sarah.
It's just like it wouldn't be as bad. And I know that we say this every time we talk. It wouldn't be this bad if so much hype didn't go into this season, right? Yeah. But because of all of the pieces, because of all of the players that we paid, I mean, any Raider fan would agree, like, geez, this was the most exciting season. And as far as I can really remember, I mean, when the whole AB situation happened, I was pretty stoked about that, but we saw how long that lasted, a whole 2 days. But I mean, this is the most excited we've been going into a season in a very long time. But honestly, in my opinion, it's like, I know, and I understand how you stick up for DC. I just think that this is it, if not.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about this with the Kings, but same thing can be said about the Raiders. You're running out of people to blame if it doesn't happen again with Derek, and you may have to move on from him. As good as I think he is as at quarterback, maybe a change of scenery might be best for everybody involved.
And I know a lot of teams would love DC. Don't get it twisted. Like, he's a good quarterback, and he could go a long way. I mean, that's what we were hoping for this season. Now we can look at the offensive line and start pointing fingers there as to, like, maybe why things aren't working out as well as they should. But, like, you'd put Derek Carr, I mean, even starting under center for the Cowboys. And I think you have success.
Cooper Rush is balling right now.
I mean, Cooper's balling, yeah. Like, minus what we've been seeing out of Cooper.
Yeah.
Coopers are just balling on all levels. It's just, I'm going to name my kid Cooper.
So, but I did want to say this. And see if it's kind of bothered me. I'm not a Raiders fan, but it bothered me, and I noticed it. Sarah, I don't know if you noticed it, Damien. I doubt you noticed it. Damn. You see on the little after the on the podium, and they got the screen afterwards as the Raiders logo, and it says Las Vegas Raiders. They've never said the city. It's always just been Raiders. Why are you putting Las Vegas there? It looks bulky and ugly. Just put Raiders.
I didn't notice that.
They've never said Oakland Raiders on the stuff. It was just Raiders.
Poor
even
Oakland,
in LA.
man. Poor Oakland.
Poor Oakland. Poor Los Angeles. The Raiders are the most popular team in LA.
True.
I mean, they might be second behind the Niners. They might be second behind the Niners. We out there.
No, they're not. Raiders are number 1. 49ers are second. You can have the 49ers as second.
49ers
Raiders are the most popular team in LA.
49ers fans are, I mean, they don't travel well. They don't, at least like,
not
like the Raiders.
Out of your mind, Sarah.
Not like the Raiders. Not like the Raiders. Maybe better than some.
I think they've
I'm not going to even hate on the 49ers fans because I love y'all. It's not even like that. Like, I'm not going to even go there. Like, I'm just saying, though, Raiders fans, we travel well. I mean, you see us in London. You see how we show up to those games.
We international too, Sarah. We international too. The one thing that I can say that we have in common right now, though, Sarah, is we both have losing records. And what was that performance on Sunday Night Football from the 49ers? More specifically from Jimmy Garoppolo. Nasty.
I know you're mad about that. And he set up, he's like, we just need to shake off the kinks and just, figure it out. But it's like, come on, my guy, you've been playing with that team. I mean, the Raiders have more of an excuse than Jimmy G and the 49ers.
Do you think he can kick out of this? Do you think that he can rebound and play well enough to get this team to the playoffs?
I do. There's something about Jimmy G where he can just shake things off. He doesn't take things seriously. Man, you saw him after the loss. He was all smiles. It was like it didn't even bother him. And
Buddy Hield vibes.
As a bad thing or a good thing, right? Like you can look at it as like, okay, he has the gift of forgetting, which is huge if you're an athlete, because even with what we do, right? Like if I mess up the first part of my show and I don't shake that off, it's going to haunt me coming into my second segment. I mean, you have to be able to shake it off.
I let it fester for 4 hours.
I let it too. I want to vomit every time I have a bad show. It's
yeah, nobody said that Buddy Hield has the ability to forget quickly. Like Kings fans were not okay when Buddy was yucking it up. I think was it Doc Rivers?
He did it twice. It
was Doc Rivers, and wasn't Anthony? I can't remember who it was, but
it was on that same game where like one of the worst games in history, go to one center, where they blew the lead. Lakers fans took over, all this other stuff.
Oh man!
And after that game, he's just chucking it up like, AD, yeah.
So I'll play with you next year, buddy.
Right?
No, you're not. You're playing.
Well, at least the Kings don't have to worry about him no more.
And there's the transition. You're listening to D'Lo and KC on KIFM West Sacramento, 98.5 FM KRX QHD2 Sacramento, ESPN 1320, driven by our friends over at Lasher's Elk Grove Dodge. Always live on the free Odyssey app, live as well on twitch.tv/ESPN1320 and youtube.com/ESPN1320. Is the very talented Sara Hodges from CBS 13 with us here. Let's transition to the Kings. Media day earlier this week. Training camp underway, practices. I'm going to phrase this as a question to you. Do you have very high expectations for this team this year?
I do. I'm not a Kings fan, right?
And I think that adds more value because you're not speaking to this from a jaded perspective.
I mean, at this point, it's like you almost have to. If you don't, then what are we doing? You bring in a coach who, I mean, really, I feel like also the pressure is on Coach Brown. Like what? It's been 8+ years since he's been a head coach.
Yes, 7, 8. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, he has to do well. He's coming from a winning team. He learned a lot from that. He knows how to build a winning culture. You put the best players around De'Aaron Fox that he's had, obviously not the best players in the league, but, you know, the best team that he's ever had around him. And, you know, we ship off Tyrese. You know, we bring in Sabonis. There should be expectations. That, right? I mean, if you don't have high expectations, and what do we do all this for? Right. Or what did you do all this for?
No, I agree with you 100%. Do you think there's anything that we can take out of training camp in the preseason? And when I ask that, I mean, a lot of the times when we talk about this, we're like, man, only thing that matters is winning. Only thing that matters is what you do when them lights are on and the season starts and the win-loss record. But sometimes maybe there's something that we're overlooking in the preseason and in training camp that kind of lays the foundation. Is there something we can learn about this team in training camp and in the preseason?
I would say, like, initially when you say, like, because we were just talking about Buddy Hield and, like, at least we don't have to deal with him anymore. And I'm actually a huge Buddy Hield fan in general, like as a person, but I think it was pretty clear that he didn't really want to be here, you know? And then I just think with the whole, even when the Kings drafted Marvin Bagley from the jump, he wasn't really happy to be there. And I don't think Kings fans were really happy he was there. You know, it was just such a tarnished situation from the beginning. I think that when I look at the Kings and what I've seen out of them going into this season, I feel like everybody wants to be there. And it's more of like a feeling rather than just talking, right? Like everybody says that they want to be there. Like they're not dumb, you know, but it feels that way. And it seems like, I think that it's hard to say, but I feel like the woes always come from the top. I'm just that type of person. I feel like, you know, it starts at the top and it trickles down to the bottom. And so I'm hoping, you know, with Monte being there now, you know, 3 years under his belt of putting the pieces together, I know it's still new for Coach Brown, but he's not unfamiliar with the Kings and what they have going on. Mm-hmm. He's right up the street.
Yeah.
I feel like this is about as solid as maybe that they're gonna get.
That's all right. Like I think this team they have right now is good enough to accomplish some things. We're not talking about like they're not going against the Warriors in the Western Conference Finals.
I mean, we got to be realistic here.
But this team is good enough certainly to not finish with 30 wins. I think they're good enough to not finish with 36, 37, 38 wins. Like this team is good enough to be in the range of like our guy leaving the Chase Center said, 40 wins, baby. Yeah, this team can absolutely accomplish that. In my opinion, hopefully, you know, they could do a little bit more. But I want to say like one quick thing. I disagree a little bit about Marvin. I think Marvin wanted to be here in the beginning, and I think a majority of Kings fans were fine with Marvin Bagley being here. There was always going to be the very Twitter vocal Luka Doncic group, and nothing Marvin ever did.
Well, when he got drafted, they were booing.
There were smatterings.
Yeah, it wasn't
like
I mean, you guys were there.
Yeah,
I was there too.
This was like my first year covering, and I was looking around like, oh dang, Kings fans are serious. Like they're paying attention.
I feel like it was I don't feel like it was overwhelming boost. I know one thing: he wasn't booed that first year. He had a really good rookie season. And the fan base was allotting a max contract for him and De'Aaron Fox down the road. So they had seen enough to where it was like, okay, all right, it's not Luka, but we got a really good ball player here. And then he just fell behind the 8 ball, like what, a couple minutes in, you know, at the near the end of the very first game the next year. And that to me was the beginning of the end. Like I felt like there was really positive momentum going his way. The beginning of the end was when he hurt his wrist against Phoenix that first game, and then that was it. Nothing ever worked after that.
It's, you know, being able to stay healthy at some point, fans are going to get over that.
Yep.
No. You know, you feel bad for the kid. You want the best for the kid. I mean, and maybe you're right. Like, it's not even that I think that Marvin didn't want to be here. I think he felt already that pressure early on, and it sort of turned him off. You know, it wasn't the happiest. He wasn't the happiest.
And let's not you know, ignore the elephant in the room. He had the wrong people in his ear. And Marvin Jr. was telling him everything that was going wrong was the Kings organization's fault. And he had a problem with the city of Sacramento. And it seems like, I don't want to say nothing for him, but it seems like Marvin Bagley III listened and followed everything that his dad would tell him, and that helped sour the relationship between the two. So
yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with that. There was definitely some weird family, you know, vibes going on there, but at the end of the day, like, he's a man. He's got to stand up to dad.
And hopefully he's doing that in Detroit. Hopefully there's no issues with that in Detroit, and he has a good career. I wish nothing but the best for him.
And let's not get it twisted. Like, Marvin's potential, like, you know, I felt like I was always rooting for him, and I felt like we were barely pulling, you know, back the onion on that potential, but it just never got there. And how long do you wait?
Yeah, no, like the call to move on was the right call. Like the thing had soured. There's no question about that. How many shows this weekend?
2. So
question mark.
I got Friday Night Football tomorrow.
Yep.
Then Saturday we got Sports Extra coming out of the Raiders Denver game.
Oh, on Sunday. Yeah.
Sunday.
Yeah. Sorry, did I say Saturday?
Yeah,
you did.
Okay, sorry. So Sunday, and then we have our 30-minute show, Sports Sunday.
Okay,
it's lit.
All right.
Yeah, nothing Saturday. Saturday is usually my chill day. I go get my nails done if I need to in the morning, or cover.
We know where you be. We know where you be. We see it on IG.
Look at that on Saturday, man. You know, just champagning and campaigning.
Not at this Warrior on Saturdays.
No, she goes there on a Tuesday.
Yeah. My day off.
Too many of our common folks there on a Saturday.
Yeah.
I've been there on a Saturday. It's a lot. It's hard to even find somewhere to lay out. I'm cool. I don't want
at Sara Talk Sports. You're the best, buddy. We appreciate you. Thank you so much.
I'll see y'all soon.